Hello, everyone. I am Jenn Pike, functional medicine diagnostic nutritionist, medical exercise specialist, and women's health and hormone expert. I hope you are enjoying this series. This is actually video number 2 of a multi-part series that is trying to help you to understand some of the things to think about during perimenopause, how to best support yourself. And I would even say that if you are a woman that is in menopause, meaning you have not had a bleed for 12 months now, you have crossed over that menopause, one date on the calendar anniversary, and you're now postmenopausal, everything that I'm talking about is still going to support your body, especially the topic at hand today, which is around your blood sugar support, your adrenals, your thyroid health, and nutrition that we want to be thinking about in our bodies as women as we are moving through that anywhere from couple year to like decade-long period of time, perimenopause into menopause. So first, what I want you to do is I want you to subscribe so you do not miss any of our updates and any of the new videos. Then I want you to like and to share at the end of this, and I'll give you a final reminder. The other thing is I have a free guide for you. I've linked it up down below, and it is my perimenopause support guide. Tons of resources, lots of links, goodies that are in there. And I also have a free blood work guide that you can go and download. And I have a video I take you through so that you understand what to ask for when you are going to your doctor. You start to understand ranges, what they mean and what they could mean. And you also know some of the added tests that you may have to pay out of pocket for, but for us women, when we are getting into our mid-30s, our mid-40s, and our 50s and beyond, our bodies hold such incredible data, knowledge, and information, and we should have full access to being able to know what is going on the inside. In our lab, in our Simplicity Women's Wellness Clinic, we are connecting women every day to running these full blood labs, to supporting you by also running additional testing, by measuring your hair, your saliva, your urine, and your poop, your actual fecal matter. And this is what's giving us so much data and understanding about our bodies. But the other thing that is helping you to understand your body is understanding signs and symptoms, trying to decode the story essentially that your body is telling you every day from how you are feeling and what it is that is going on. So today we're going to dial it in and focus on blood sugar, on adrenal health, on thyroid health. I would say if you haven't gone back and listened to the one that I did about digestion, liver, and gallbladder, great place to begin. I also have another video that's the 11 signs and symptoms of perimenopause that oftentimes get missed over. I think that's a great one to do as well. Pen and paper, I would highly recommend to take some notes, and let's dive right in. I would say that most women know and have heard of terms like adrenal fatigue, adrenal burnout, thyroid struggles, right? So an underactive thyroid, overactive thyroid, maybe you've even heard of Hashimoto's. But a lot of women don't necessarily understand some of the bigger signs or symptoms, what actually is going on or could be going on behind the scenes, and then what you want to start to do for your health and for your body. So once I have digestion dialed in for my clients and we've got better optimized support for their liver and their gallbladder, the next area of their body that we move into is teaching them how to support their adrenal health. Your adrenal health is really setting up and stabilizing your thyroid health. If your adrenals, which when you hear adrenals, I want you to think adrenals / your central nervous system, how and where our body responds to stress, the reaction, the hormones that it produces, what happens on the back end, all of those things are supporting and setting the stage for our thyroid to function optimally, to produce key hormones, to be able to convert those hormones, to get those hormones into the cells, to be uptaken, and for the body to feel and function well. When we look at adrenal health, there is not a woman that I know who, especially by the time she gets to perimenopause and menopause, has not gone through a period of time of stress, whether it's acute stress where it's something major that's happened, or it's been long chronic stress that is just like the stress of daily life, right? Like you have kids, I've got teens, you work a full-time job, you run a business, you have a partner, you've got a house, you're trying to, be a citizen of the society and get out and mingle with people. You've got parents you may be taking care of. There's a lot of different things that are going on. You live in the world in the 2020s years where, wow, the last 4 years have been a humdinger. There's just a lot that goes on in our body. We can cognitively and cerebrally think, I got this. I'm a taskmaster. I'm type A. I'm a stress warrior. You throw it at me. I am a highly ambitious, achieving woman, and I can do hard things. I get highly irritated by the hashtag you can do hard things message that is constantly thrown at women, and not why you would think. I do believe we need to be reminded that we are capable of doing hard things, challenging things, that it is in us, that, we can actually create and design the life that we want to have. But I think where the problem can arise that contributes to adrenal dysregulation, to then thyroid dysregulation, and us not feeling optimal is always feeling like anything that's hard in life is the thing we have to push through, and we have to hustle, and there's got to be grit, and everything has to be a struggle. I don't know any women who don't already do hard things. And so I really like to create permission to not do the hard things, to choose your hard. And so when it comes to your adrenal health, I want to break this down from a simplicity perspective. The number one thing that is going to help you stabilize your adrenals and your energy, your focus, and your clarity right out of the gates is making sure you have stable blood sugar. Now, this might feel like you are so sick and tired of hearing people say the same things all the time. Make sure you get enough protein. Make sure you have a combination of a carbohydrate with that protein. Make sure you're getting some healthy fat. Where's your fiber? Build that out in every meal on every plate that you have. I'm going to tell you all those things are true. What you need to be focusing on, though, is really identifying when you look at your plate, you look at your bowl, you look at your smoothie, what actually protein forward, protein rich sources are, because it's not peanut butter. It's not almonds. It's not almond milk. It is not a handful of Brazil nuts. All of those things I just mentioned can be really healthy and supportive for your body, from the magnesium, from the calcium, from other nutrients, from selenium, from zinc, healthy fats, all good things. But those are not your protein sources. Your protein sources are coming from things like animal products, so chicken and fish and turkey and beef and eggs, also coming from plant-based. So it could be coming from soy or tofu, tempeh, edamame, beans, legumes. There's a lot of different sources and where we can be getting our protein from. Some of you may have a fine time managing dairy. So maybe it's cottage cheese or it's Greek yogurt, those kind of things. Every body is going to digest and break things down differently. So what I don't want you to hear is all of you go eat all those things I just said. I'll give you an example. So I'm 45. I am like what would be considered to be in perimenopause. I really focus on getting enough protein in. So I consume about 150 grams of protein a day for my body. Now I'm very active. I work out and teach multiple times a week. I've also been doing this for my whole life. I'm 5'10", and I know my body inside and out. I run the functional test, like I understand it. I got it. I can't digest a lot of the foods that we're told as perimenopausal women to take in. I do not do well with whey-based protein powder. I do not do well with a lot of dairy. I can do cottage cheese. I cannot do Greek yogurt. I feel gross and I will break out the next day. And I just digestively, I'm like, ugh. I share that because what works for me may not work for you. And what works for you won't work for your sister or for your mom or for your coworker. So what we have to stop doing is identifying with this dogmatic approach that there is one way. We can all be in perimenopause, and it doesn't mean we should all be doing and eating exactly the same. It's the overarching theme that we need to pay attention to. So when I'm talking about getting enough protein, that's what you hear. Get enough protein. Where the protein sources come from, that is something that you need to go and do that bit of homework for yourself. You can even go online, go on Pinterest and literally punch in healthy protein sources and everything that comes up and pick and choose based on the things that are going to be manageable for you. When we look at protein requirements, it does increase as we age. We need to make sure as perimenopausal women that we are preserving and building as much muscle mass as possible. The reason that's so important is that muscle is an organ of longevity. Muscle is supporting metabolic health. Muscle is supporting your body's ability to uptake and utilize insulin better. So as we become more insulin resistant as perimenopausal, menopausal, and postmenopausal women, muscle is like a sponge to sop up that insulin. It supports healthy estrogen levels in your body. It is protecting your bones. It is supporting neurocognitive benefits as well too. It is supporting your heart health. It is supporting the whole shebang. So it's really no longer, in my opinion, like an option for us if we're going to decide to do things that are going to support building muscle. I really do think it is a must. It is, in a world where everybody is talking about biohacking and longevity hacking, you want to hack, build muscle. Do the things in terms of working out, and I'll have a whole video going deeper into the exercise piece. So build muscle physically and eat in a way that is supporting muscle protein synthesis, which is that MPS. Now, Now, how many grams would that be? I like on average to get women to a place within the first couple of months of 100 to 120 grams a day. But there are a lot of people who will say and give the average of saying to you, if you could get in a gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. I like that on some regards. On the other regard, depending on who's listening to this, let's say you're 230 pounds and you're like, I actually feel comfortable at 190 pounds, and 190 pounds is your ideal. To try to get somebody to go from the North American average, which is about 60 to 80 grams of protein a day, to 190 grams of protein a day, digestively, like you are going to have so much gas, so much bloating, probably be constipated, not feel fantastic. So we wouldn't start there. That's why I find for most people, because most women are in that 60 to 80-ish range, getting them up to a consistent 100 to 120 grams a day spread across their meals is a great place to start. And for most women, you do that for 3, 4, 6 months in the beginning. You're going to have decrease in your cravings, increase in your energy, increase in your exercise performance, better recovery, better body composition. You will probably lose some weight and inflammation. Things are going to start to move in the right direction for you. Now, when we look at that across meals, you want to be looking at that and thinking, okay, if your goal is 120 grams of protein in the day, and you're going to have breakfast, lunch, probably a snack in the afternoon, I find does really well for my ladies, and then dinner, that's 4 meals that you're going to have in a day. If we divide 120 by 4, it means that we are trying to get in 30 grams at breakfast, 30 grams at lunch, 30 grams at a snack, 30 grams at dinner. About 5 ounces of chicken is 35 grams of protein. A cup of egg whites with a couple of whole organic eggs, gonna get you in like 42 grams of protein. Scoop of protein powder, 30 grams of protein. A little bit of beef or fish, whatever it is you're having. So how you have to start to reverse engineer this in your mind is, if you typically get up and do 2 eggs in the morning, that's 12 grams of protein. Not enough. It is not enough. If you think you're having a protein smoothie because you're adding in a scoop of nut butter, that is your fat, that is not your protein. So you have to reverse engineer how you're thinking about this. So look at what the amounts are. I like using a tracker like MyFitnessPal. It's free, it's simple, and I would say, you don't have to get committed to doing this all the time, but if you really don't know how many grams of carbohydrates, fiber, protein, and fat you're consuming in a day, and yet you hear yourself say, I am doing everything right and nothing is working. I am eating healthy, I'm exercising, I can't stop the weight gain, like I just don't know what's going on. If I was working with you, or you were working inside of our clinic, or you are in our synced exercise community, the first thing we would have you do is track everything you eat, lick, drink, bite off your child's plate, finish up for the person who didn't eat it. We would track it all for a whole week. When you study your habits start to show you the gaps that need to be filled. Some of you aren't eating enough. Some of you are eating too much. Some of you are eating enough, but you're just not eating it in the right ratios in order to build muscle and to lose fat. Support your blood sugar, support your adrenals, and support your thyroid. When it comes to how many grams of carbohydrates and fat, those are the fluctuating elements. I really focus on getting the protein in first, and then we just fill in the plate with, whatever source of carbohydrates feels good, a little bit of fat. And when you've eaten a blood sugar balanced meal, because when you step away from it, you feel good. You don't feel exhausted. You're not craving a piece of chocolate. You're just I'm good. I'm good. I can get up, I can clean up, I can go for a walk. The other thing for your adrenal function, and I've got mine here in my mason jar, is I've got filtered water, and then I always add in some type of mineral or electrolyte support. So I am a fan of LMNT, of Element. I'm also a fan of Rehydrate from the company Within Us Naturals. And I will add in things like some Redmond's Real Salt, or I'll add in some citrus, like some lime or some lemon juice. Sometimes I'll do basil and cucumber, but I'm always adding things into my water because hydration is critical for adrenal support, thyroid support, and perimenopause support. But your minerals, we actually rip through our minerals and our B vitamins at this time in our life. So magnesium, sodium, potassium, really important to be able to dial in on that. And your water is a very simple way that you can do that. When your adrenals are part of the picture, you have to really pay attention to stress. So if I were to ask you historically, how does your body respond to stress? Meaning, in stressful times, do you eat? Do you drink? Do you online shop? Do you go pick a fight with someone because that's how you manage it? Do you recluse? Do you become completely introverted? Do you ignore dismiss? Do you go say yes to more things to distract yourself? Do you get sick? Does your hair fall out? Do you break out? Do you have stomach pains? Do you get diarrhea? Like, how does your body normally respond to stress? Start to pay attention to some of the things that trigger you. So oftentimes, like, it's women's jobs. They're like, I really frigging hate what I do for a living, but I need the money. It's your relationship with your partner. It's really hard to parent. Like, children do not come with a manual. It's very difficult. And you would think you have multiple children with the same person that you could parent them the same way. No, no, very different. Working, running a business, trying to take care of your body, understanding everything that's going on in your body. You know, my whole goal and everything I've done from the beginning of time in my career is, if we had been taught from like the ages of 9, 10, 11, and 12, this is what's going to happen before you get your period. This is what's going to happen when you get your period. This is how you're going to feel physically, mentally, and emotionally. As a teen, these are the changes you're going to go through, because perimenopause is puberty in reverse. And in puberty, your puberty period timeline is like 8 to 10 years. And then in your 20s, what's going to happen in your bodies? And then if you decide to have children, what's going to happen during pregnancy and postpartum, in your 30s and your 40s, and so on and so forth. If somebody had handed us the guidebook and was like, you're going to want to read this front to back and with a highlighter, when these things would have shown up and we started to have symptoms, we wouldn't have felt like the rug was pulled out underneath you. You went to bed one night normal and woke up the next day and everything changed. You turned 40 and everything went downhill. None of those things would have happened, because we would have been like, wait a second, ding, ding, ding. I have heard this before. I have read this before. I don't like it, but I think I'm a little bit more prepared because I knew what was going to come. This is why this information is so important. This is why I say to you, subscribe, like, and share, because women everywhere need to know and understand this. You need to also know and understand the way you're feeling. You are not broken. Don't let people prey on you and like do the hurt and rescue method, where it's like, here's all the ways that your body is failing you and is broken down. And then the only solution is to come and do my program. And look, I sell programs. I run a business that is based on helping women, but not in that way where it's like, everything you're doing is wrong. Your body needs some serious support and help. You may need support and help, but there's a way to connect women to this where it's like, I want you to feel so freaking empowered. I want you to feel like a true advocate for yourself. And it's very hard to advocate for yourself, to advocate for your children moving forward when they have things going on with their body. If you don't feel confident, it's hard to be empowered if you don't feel educated about something, right? Like, one equates to the other. So pay attention to your stress, create boundaries where you can and that you need to in your life. Prioritize rest and sleep. And I use those two words separately because depending on the season of life that you are in, sleep is probably the thing you are praying for every night, but may not be happening right now. So hearing more people say, just go to bed, you're probably like, thanks, Captain Obvious. That would be super great if I could go to bed. I can't sleep. So can you get more rest? Can you lie down? Like, if you follow me on Instagram at Jenn Pike, oftentimes I will be like coming to you from the floor. I finish with a client, I'll finish this video and I like slither down onto the floor, legs up, and I rest. Most of us do not know how to rest because we have equated our worth and our value to productivity. And we're lazy if we rest. There's always more to be done. Your adrenals don't like that. Your adrenals are going to fight back, and you will now have dysregulated cortisol production. You may be fine at producing cortisol, but the way that you regulate it is not so fine. So you will feel like you have no energy. You can't get up in the morning. You will feel like when your adrenals start to go into the crapper in perimenopause, your BS meter that used to be like this is big. This big. So the thing that used to take a long time to piss you off and to make you have a reaction, it's like, I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. And then you would snap. Oftentimes for women, there's no such thing as the fine. It's like the thing happens and you can't even control your reaction and what's going to come out of your mouth. Now, that is oftentimes in the early signs when there's dysregulation. For a woman who has been going through this for a long time, you go to the opposite end of the spectrum where you're like, I don't care. I literally don't care. Oh, you don't want to do that? Whatever, I don't care. Oh, you're mad at me for that? I do not care. And that's when you go from being like the hyperactive, stress-driven, you live off adrenaline, to being apathetic, zero F's given. I try and catch women when they're in this suboptimal window because I can see it and I can hear it when I'm talking to a woman. And listen, like that was my life for a long time. That's what I've done is I've built businesses, I've built community, I've written books, I've led stuff. Like I would be identified as a highly ambitious achiever of a woman, okay? And a mother and a wife and all of the things. And it took me getting to that point where I did go through burnout and I was just like, this is horrible, never again. And I had to change the standards for myself and for my life. I had to find more rest. I had to reevaluate the way I was nourishing my body, moving my body. I had to get myself to bed and I needed boundaries. Holy mother. And for me, that happened in my mid to late 30s. And thank God it happened at that age because now at 45, there's not a chance in heck that I would allow any of those things to happen again. Because when you've been at that point where you cannot get up and you don't care, you never want to go back there. So again, pay attention to your body. If you're seeing no results with your workouts, or every time you go to work out, you feel like you get sick and you're more sore than last time, that's a sign the adrenals need support. You really want to work with a functional practitioner who understands adrenal health. It's not something that is necessarily going to pop out in blood work. I do like salivary testing for it. I really like talking to clients about it because your symptoms and how you describe the way you're feeling will tell us a lot. And oftentimes doing a hair tissue mineral analysis test, right? An HTMA can do that. You do not want to ignore any of these signs and symptoms because oftentimes this will be what crops up with your thyroid. And so in the blood work guide that I have that's down below, I talk a lot about the optimal thyroid ranges, what a full thyroid panel is, because it is not just TSH, which if you go to your doctor and ask to get your thyroid tested, because you're feeling tired, constipated, cold, irritated, hair is falling out, hair is thinning, skin is getting drier, no libido, anxiety, heart palpitations, and depression, all signs and symptoms of a thyroid issue that is going on. And if all they measure is your TSH, it is like 1/6 of the picture. So go and download the guide so you understand what to ask for. The 3 most prevalent times in a woman's life that her thyroid will start to move towards underactive, in lesser cases, but it does happen, hyperactive. And then you have the 2 autoimmune forms of these thyroid illnesses, which is Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is the autoimmune form of an underactive thyroid. And then you have Graves' disease, which is the autoimmune form of an overactive thyroid. The 3 most common times for a woman in her life will be postpartum. So postpartum thyroiditis is huge. Women get dismissed all the time as it's just postpartum. They get told they have postpartum depression. They just literally, if you are feeling unwell in the first 12 to 18 months of having a child, it's just brushed under the rug of you're a mom now. This is just kind of like normal. Would you like an antidepressant? That's how the support goes. You're a woman in perimenopause. Oh, this is just normal. Would you like an antidepressant? Would you like the pill? Like what would you like? Yeah, like an SSRI? Like that's what we're talking about. It drives me flipping bonkers. And I'm not saying there's not times where some of those things may be needed, but that is definitely not a first response mechanism that we should be giving women. We need to ask them more questions. We need to make sure blood sugar is supported, digestion's on point. They have a level of a support system. They're getting appropriate rest. They're moving their body. They're getting the right kind of nourishment in. Those are the key things. So postpartum, perimenopause, and menopause, the 3 most prominent times in a woman's life that her thyroid will become dysregulated. And if you're following medical guidelines, by the time things get, wild enough on test results, now we're at the point where we're probably talking about thyroid medication. We want to catch things in the suboptimal ranges. So again, go download the blood work guide because I go so much deeper into this. Let's talk a little bit deeper about nutrition to support your adrenals, your thyroid, body composition, health as a whole, and perimenopause. So we talked about protein, super important. Fiber is critical. Fiber is going to support your digestion. It's going to stabilize your blood sugar. It's going to help you actually manage a healthier weight. It's supporting your gut health. And all of those things are really crucial for hormone regulation. Now, because digestive function can be downgraded a little bit at this time in our life, you may do better with roasted and cooked. So steamed, sauteed, those kind of things versus a lot of raw. Again, just pay attention and shift it, but fiber is really key. Healthy fats are really important, but we can definitely overdo it. Like there was a time in my life when I lived with a spoon in an almond butter jar. Right? Or like a half a brick of cheese I was just biting off of. And I was like going and getting these quick snacks to move through my day instead of actually having meals. These are other really big things to pay attention to. If you need to constantly be snacking throughout the day, that's a key sign blood sugar is dysregulated. So healthy fats are your omega-3s, right? So this could be like your nuts and your seeds. Flax seeds are a fantastic way to get the healthy fat in, phytoestrogens, and to get in that fiber for your body to help with your poops. Chia seeds, same things. Avocados are a fantastic way. If you're having animal-based protein sources, you're going to get your healthy fats in there. Avocado oil, olive oil, coconut oil, organic grass-fed butter, ghee, those kind of things. Beautiful. Making sure you're getting enough minerals. This is why I'm a huge fan of having plants in your life, dark leafy greens, and really going for the rainbow of colors. It's more so just knowing the way in which they need to be cooked and prepared to make it easier for you to digest and break down. And if you are getting in some nuts and seeds, tofu, those kind of things, you are getting in more mineral, calcium-rich foods. I'm not a huge fan of taking a calcium supplement on its own. I like to look at minerals from like the whole picture and try to get it in through the food first. And before I would do a calcium supplement, I'd be offering up vitamin D with K and magnesium first. We talked about managing blood sugar, super important. Hydration is essential. And as I said, your water is a vehicle for many of the things that you can get in. Also with your nutrition at this time, we talked about limiting the alcohol. This is a big one. And I said, I have no worries if you're drinking coffee, but you may want to upgrade it. And I don't mean about having like butter in your coffee or collagen. What I mean is upgrading the source. So organic, mold, and mycotoxin free, and maybe no more than 1 or 2 cups. Maybe switch over to something like matcha, rich in polyphenols and antioxidants. So many beautiful attributes with matcha. Maybe you explore some different herbal teas. Maybe you do something like cacao powder or some chai, or you have dandy blend or dandelion and milk thistle. If you have this dependency on coffee where you're like, oh my God, don't take away my coffee. I won't be able to get up and I can't function. If you say things like, I can't function until I've had my first coffee, that may be where it's like, we need a little bit more support for the body here. You also want to be thinking in perimenopause, boost your antioxidants. So this will happen through a healthy whole food-based diet, but it's also going to help through certain supplements. So I love functional mushrooms for this. So things like chaga and cordyceps, lion's mane, reishi. These are all wonderful to bring in to help from a higher ORAC value and antioxidant level. Vitamin C is beautiful, and vitamin C is very nourishing for the adrenals. B vitamins, specifically B6 and B12, can also be very helpful. And in another video, we'll talk more about certain supplements. But I find if I start the supplement talk right out of the gates, all you'll do is make a list of supplements to buy and not necessarily understand why. And then the final piece when it comes to really dialing in your nutrition and your nourishment at this time in your life is, again, I'll circle it back to the beginning, which is about your gut health. So adding in some pre and probiotics, and you don't have to go crazy with this. So it could be sauerkraut, kombucha. I don't find a lot of people do good with a ton of kombucha. I find little bits. You don't need a lot, but kimchi is really wonderful. Coconut kefir, water kefir. If you can do the yogurt, you can do a little bit of that. And then using a really good probiotic. If we'd been chatting many years ago, I would have just like listed out a whole bunch of companies. Now, because I run so many stool tests, I really like probiotics to be based on the individual microbiome. There's a lot of great companies out there. I would just tell you that in the beginning, more does not mean better. Meaning if you have the product that has 500 million, CFUs, like colonized units, versus the one that has 100 million, just because something has 500 million doesn't mean it's better than the 100 million. And this is where understanding your symptoms, your goals, what's going on with your health is really important. In my next video, I'm going to go deeper into exercise and body composition and building muscle and fat loss and all of that. And so what I would say is, first of all, make sure that you've subscribed so you get that notification for that video. Like this, share this with other women in your life, and I will see you back here next time.